Merry Christmas, baby, from Chuck Brown. Hey, welcome everyone. It's time for the Boomerang Radio Show, coming to you live each and every Sunday right here on this network. I see, my lovely co-host, Ann Rooter Taylor. Hey, Ann, how are you?
Hey, my friend. I'm doing well. How are you?
I see Mad Mike. Hey, Mad, what's going on, brother?
Hi, everyone.
All right, all right, all right. Look, hey, man, I want to wish our audience a very, very happy holiday season, including New Year's and New Year's Eve. Now,
Yes.
Thursday is reserved for Mad Mike and Wild Will Coast to Coast. And Mike, this coming Thursday is Christmas, and
Oh,
next Thursday is New Year's Eve. So we won't be on the Mad Mike and Wild Will Coast to Coast show until the New Year.
yeah.
How will the
Wow.
world ever survive
I have no
right,
idea. I don't.
right,
I don't know. I'm
right,
trying to
right.
figure out a way to pump some oxygen, man, to keep this.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Wow, it's
Mm.
crazy. But at least we have the boomerang right here today. I've got some very important topics to cover, but I just wanted to know. Let's go with Ann first. Ann, how was your week? Anything exciting to announce?
Um, you know, everything's fine. I don't. I just hope and pray everybody has a blessed, safe, and happy holiday season. I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks of just resting and recuperating a little bit, and I hope everybody gets to enjoy the time with their family.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Mike, oh, you always have something going on. What's happening?
Man, this has just been a horrifically busy week. I was double booked on a Tuesday. I never get booked on a Tuesday, far less double.
Wow.
So I did two celebrations of life on Tuesday, one at noon and the other one at 5. And then I always reserve Thursday for us for coast to coast.
Mhm.
And then I played Friday, Saturday, and I reserved Sunday for here. But yeah, it's been a very busy week for me.
So you
Oh
do funerals too, Mike?
Oh yeah. So I don't like to do funerals. I do celebrations of life.
Well, yeah,
I feel
yeah.
that's I think it's healthier for people instead of drawing something out. I like to get their friends and family to tell the wonderful stories, the heart wrenching stories
Yeah.
that make everybody laugh and smile and maybe make you a little bit sad because they're gone. But I like that
Right.
dialogue when you've got 100 people in the room and they're all telling stories about their loved one and they're reminiscing about past holidays and such. I think that's extremely healthy, and I like doing those. It's not that I like doing, but I don't mind doing those. But yeah, I've
Yeah.
done the biggest wedding I've ever done. I think I mentioned it to William. I did a 400-person wedding in the middle of June this year. That was huge for me. So, and then I'm helping
Right.
the Moose Lodge here in Mentone. I know, Ann, you don't know where Mentone is, but it's about 20 minutes from Redlands,
Mm.
from San Bernardino. And their lodge burnt down during the high winds back, I think it was February,
Oh
and their
wow.
building burnt down, and they were a little underinsured, so they've got the building plans all renewed, and they're trying to
Hmm.
make up the monetary deficit so they can properly rebuild newer, bigger, better. So I've been doing
Yeah.
fundraising for them. Last Saturday I did their kids Christmas. They gave away over 40 bicycles and scooters,
Oh.
and presents on top. Every kid probably walked away with 3 or 4 presents on top of that. There was about
Wow.
120 kids altogether. So between fundraisers and then let me see, I did the homicides, San Bernardino County homicides Christmas party. I did um, the narcotics. I did their Christmas party. So it's been a really busy but fulfilling couple of weeks.
Well, good for
Mm-hmm.
you. Good for
Mike, what
you.
about that organization that you is that the one you were talking about that when you were with the service department that you hosted each week, each year, where you have a celebration where you brought in the battered women and the children.
Right.
Yeah,
That,
each
that was
weekend.
the gift of love program that occurs
Right.
usually 2 weeks before Christmas, and we bring in about 230 moms and kids from 9 different domestic violence shelters, and we put on an entire fun day of Christmas and food, and we take the kids' fingerprints and take their pictures. We take family portraits. We put them on horses. We put them on quads. They don't ride the quads. They just get to photo opportunity.
Right.
We give mom a disposable camera, and then we get all the film developed and give them the pictures back to the mom, and it, along with the family portrait. It's just a great day, and they started that in 1998, and they
Wow.
just, so you can do the math on it. They just finished I think it was the first week of Christmas. They did the the,
27
the
years.
party. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah, yeah.
nice. That's
And,
really
and,
nice.
and that's the Mike that I know.
Right. That's
That's the
sweet.
Mike that I know. This other cat,
And here's where the fight starts.
exactly. I don't know. I think this other one that comes on the boomerang, he's an AI version. Well, yeah,
It's a deep fake of Mike.
yeah,
Somebody
it's a deep
deep
fake.
faked him.
If Mike,
You,
with real Mike,
you
please
know how
stand.
you know that I'm. Here's how you know that I'm not AI, because I'm better than AI could ever produce. So
Right.
why would you want to do artificial intelligence when you got the real thing right in front of you?
I don't know
Because
why people want to do
because
artificial
I don't
intelligence. I think
recognize
it's the
this. I,
dumbest thing ever.
I don't recognize this new one. I don't. This on Sundays. Now on Thursdays, then the real one comes back.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think the people who have been building this quote unquote AI crap are
Man,
the dumbest people ever. Why would you build something that you think is going to destroy humanity? I mean, they literally think that they are so afraid of it. Like the guy who owns Facebook, he is building one of the largest tunnels, or not tunnels, but what do you call those, bunkers, that, I mean, it going under multiple houses, not just his own.
hmm
And they are planning. They literally said, some of them, that they want to be in their bunkers before a certain version of AI comes online. Are we serious right now?
it is
Really?
absolutely crazy. It's
Why
that.
would you build something that you are afraid of?
Well, if
That
you
is
look
the
at Mark,
dumbest thing ever.
if you look at Mark Zuckerberg, just look at his eyes and his face. He just
That's the guy.
he's
Yeah, he's the one
he's
building the
scary
bunker.
looking.
Right.
From the
Well,
time I
they
first
all
saw him,
are.
he's scary looking.
They
Well,
all are weird. I mean,
yeah.
all of them.
As a matter of fact, and Elon Musk don't let him off the hook. As a matter of
No,
fact, there
he's an
is a count
idiot.
I believe
He's
is
an opportunistic idiot. He makes money off other people's genius. There's nothing smart about him.
right.
Except he just knows, oh, this person is smart. He's smart enough to know who to make money off of.
Oh,
That's
look, I'll give him that. I
his
will give
claim to
him that.
fame.
There's no question about it. And this guy, how weird is he? And
Which
some
one?
people said that, oh, when he came and created Doge. Come on
Um,
now. Okay, we can talk about that a little bit later on also. And some said, well, he's working for free. No, he's not working for
no,
free.
it's something
He's
in it for
getting,
him.
well, guess what? He has over $38 billion in defense contracts and contracts with the United States. How is that working for free?
It's not.
Okay. So if you
And
are
not to mention all the data that they've had access to that they
uh,
shouldn't have had access to.
that too,
That's
and
crazy.
it's no question about it. So no, he's not working for free. Oh
Mm-mm,
no. Because if you were getting a salary, it would be probably a few $100,000 if you were in the cabinet or you were working. But
mm-mm.
you got, yeah, I would forego a couple of $100,000 for 38 billion.
Of
I
course.
mean, let's do the math right, okay? All right.
Right.
And so this is the whole
Right.
idea, and this entire administration has been a failure, complete failure. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I think Americans, we have been duped. They want us to think DEI is something different from what it is. They want to let us think that uh, the economy is better than it actually is, because otherwise you wouldn't hide the data, you wouldn't hide the jobs reports.
Well, it's
You
good for the rich people. I mean, they're
oh
they're loving it.
oh
It's
they loving it.
they're making money hand over fist. They're
You know,
getting everything they want. But
but Ann, if I were a rich person, I wouldn't be celebrating if I have everything that I need and want and all the resources that I need and desire, and see my fellow man starving.
but
There's no
William,
way in the
but
world I
William,
could do that.
you're thinking like somebody who was blessed with money and recognizes that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. That meaning that this all belongs to God. He's just entrusted me with it to do the right thing with it. These people don't think like that. This is their money as far as they're concerned, and they never get enough of it, and they don't mind making other people suffer so that they can get more.
Right.
So we're not talking about decent human beings here. We're talking about people who could care less. Now, don't get me wrong. Not everybody who's rich is a bad person.
No.
There are lots of people who have money who care about other people, but it's like this. Rich people are like what people think about lawyers. They hate all lawyers until they meet the decent ones. You know what I'm saying? They lump us all into the same group. The same thing with
Right.
politicians and tax collectors, and there are just certain professions that get a bad rap. People say that bad things about cops and all that. You know the professions. It's like that with rich people.
Right.
You assume that the majority of them are greedy, cutthroat, evil B words until you see the ones who do actually care and who do consistently and consistently, authentically, genuinely do things for other people. But for the most part, the Elon Musk and the Trumps and those types of people are the ones that,
Bezos and yeah,
right, they
all
give
of
they
that.
give everybody else the bad rap, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wish I were a rich person because I know for a fact. Uh, Give me going back a time a few years ago, and I had a little money in the bank, and it was around Christmas time, and it was a mother and daughter out selling uh, little Christmas wreaths and things of that, nature, right? And they
Mhm,
had these little trinkets that they were selling to raise money for Christmas for their
mhm,
family. And I pulled up and I asked her, I said, "What are you guys doing?" She said, "We're trying to raise money, for the family, and
mhm,
uh, we want to make sure that we can survive this holiday season."
mhm.
And so it was a box of about 16 to 24 little small items that they had.
Aw,
And I bought the entire box.
aw,
Bought
that's
the
so
entire box. And then I gave it back to them. And I
aw, so
said,
that they
and
can resell it and make some more money.
resell it.
Yeah.
And so I
William, you have a heart after all.
Oh,
always have, Mike.
oh.
And the real Mike does also. He just doesn't want to show it on Sundays. But the point that I'm getting at is that, and I don't even talk about that. I believe I find pleasure in giving. I find,
Amen. Amen.
oh, I
Yes.
do, I really do, and it really feels good.
It
And
does.
like I've talked about this many, many times, and I have to talk about Mike
Mhm,
um, and his work, with the Gift of Love program,
mhm,
the Camp No Limits program, and
mhm,
those programs that he dedicates his time, his resources, his energy, and stuff like that. And
mhm.
I think that's really when our friendship became solidified because I said, "This is a great, great guy." No,
Oh, that's a
there's
blessing.
no question about
Don't
it.
get carried away.
The bromance, the love is in the air. I love
I'm
it. The
I'm
Christmas
exceedingly
season,
mediocre, exceedingly
Oh,
mediocre at
it
best.
might.
the
Or
Christmas spirit is bringing out the love. Look at
no,
it.
I know, I love Mike, except for
Oh.
on Sundays, sometime he becomes a complete knucklehead.
Well,
Okay, no, no,
I
but
love the romantic part of it.
no, no,
It's very
seriously.
it's wonderful. It's heartwarming.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I had a chance of going with Mike to Camp No Limits, and
Oh.
these were children. Some of them had uh, one limb missing, or two limbs
Oh.
missing, or
Mhm.
their bodies were distorted some way. And I
Mm.
mean, it was just. But you know what? These children made no excuses for themselves, and
Mm.
you couldn't
Wow.
even tell
Nope.
that they were disabled
Wow.
or had different abilities, rather. And I said, "Wow!" And when I walked away from that, I said, "You know what? I've got all of my limbs.
Hmm.
Okay. I don't have any distortions or anything like that. And I have no excuse.
Right,
And
right.
those of us who have all of our faculties
Hmm.
supposedly or limbs and everything like that, what excuse do we have when these children uh, otherwise have excuses? Well,
Right.
I have no
Good ones, really good excuses.
really.
Right.
And it was absolutely amazing. Hey, Kim Rogers, how are you? Hey,
Mhm.
thank you. I hope you got moved in properly. Kim is one of our avid listeners, one of my
Hey,
great
Kim.
friends. Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. She's moving right now. As a matter of fact, remember we did a story and we featured uh, Kim Rogers' story on air. Remember, she worked for a
For the
train
trains. Yeah.
service, uh,
Oh.
a train service that we're not going to name, okay, right now,
Mhm.
and she was shot at.
Oh my
You guys
gosh.
remember that? And I
No, I
started
don't
Point,
to
remember
like
that one.
almost point blank, she was shot at.
I
that's
must not have
right.
been here that night. I don't remember that one.
No, and I think you were there. And the guy, he was within feet of her,
Mm,
shooting at her. Mike, remember that?
Yes, I do.
mm.
And
I saw
he
the
missed
video.
her. He missed her.
Oh wow, that's
Oh my
amazing.
God. It
I
was
don't know what's going on with these gunshots.
wow.
Literally, the guy in my office, a couple of doors down, somebody. Now we're on the 11th floor. Somebody shot in his office, shot the window. There's a bullet hole in the window, and I didn't know about it. It was like that. They were like that happened back in the spring. I'm like they came, the police came, investigated, they changed that. I'm like that lets you know how much I mind my own business at work.
Mhm.
I don't bother anybody. I'm not the social butterfly. I don't do the office gossip. If something can happen like almost a whole year ago, that seriously, they've had to change out the whole window and everything.
Oh
My
my.
boss
Oh
was like,
my.
that's probably the first time this office has had fresh air since they built this building.
Oh,
So I mean, yeah, I don't know how that stuff gets by me, but okay.
yo, no, I think you were here. I think you and Dr. Sims was on. But
Okay.
anyway, getting back to AI, there is, I believe there are lawsuits going on right now because I think there's a town in Tennessee
Okay.
that Elon Musk owns this, where he
Memphis.
owns this huge, huge
Yeah.
AI facility, right?
Yeah, it's in Memphis.
But is that in Memphis where
It's in
the
Memphis.
the pollution is so bad that people can't open their windows?
Against it. Yeah. And it's
Oh,
already in a bad area where there's lots of pollution and he's breaking the law doing it. He's got way more pollution generation generating machines to power Rock or whatever than he's supposed to have. And now he's trying to build a second one in the Whitehaven area, which is another part of Memphis.
and
Yeah.
pollution. Look, I'm telling you, and this administration, if you notice that they are rolling back regulations that
Hmm.
protect our air, our water,
Hmm.
the country, and things like that, they are doing this because they're on the side of the big money brokers that
Hmm.
makes money off of pollution.
Yeah,
That's why.
and the city of Memphis is allowing it too,
Uh,
because the city needs the money, so they're
see,
turning the other, you know, they're turning a blind eye to it.
well, not only that, they're not even thinking about our future, our generation, our children, our
Right,
grandchildren, and
right.
forth and forth. It's all about greed. I'm telling you, greed kills.
Hmm.
Kim just said she got back in Georgia, and remember,
Yay.
I didn't that she just got in Georgia from Texas.
Hmm. Hmm.
She was in Longview, Texas, and so I didn't want to name anything that would jeopardize her case. And she said, "You
Mm,
can name it." And the guy didn't want it. Oh, let me put this up on the screen.
yeah.
The
You had it up and then you took it down.
oh, let me put it back up. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do this.
So she's got to testify. Wow.
Okay, and you can read that if you like.
You can name it. I think she meant that about the town. And the guy didn't want to take the plea deal of 12 years. So I have to testify on the 6th of January. Girl, look, girl, put him away, put him under the jail. I hope they put
Absolutely,
him under the jail. Good
absolutely.
night.
I have a question for Judge Ann. In your experience, when somebody doesn't take a plea deal
I
and
can't
they've
hear
got
you.
them,
Guys broke up.
how about now? Any better? Hello?
Hello.
Nothing?
Uh,
Okay.
Okay, I can hear you guys now, but it was frozen and timing out on me. Say it
okay.
again.
Okay.
How about now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, very good. What's your experience when somebody that, once again, this is all on video, and this gentleman, I'm being kind, this person, this evil person, let me call it what it is, doesn't take a plea deal of attempted murder for 12 years, which sounds
Mhm.
like that's a little light as far as I'm concerned when you try to kill somebody.
Right,
Or not, you
right.
don't kill them, you make them undead is the right word they use now, because you're not
Mm.
supposed to say kill on the radio
Unalive.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unalive. That's what the
unalive.
kids say. Yeah.
Christ. How come we can't call a spade a spade? This is ridiculous. So what's your experience when they don't take a plea deal like that and they end up in trial, and you got a judge and a jury? Do they end up with a harsher sentence than the plea deal of 12 in
Mm,
Well,
something
I've
like this? Just
actually
generally
never
speaking.
I've
that's a
never
great.
practiced criminal law, to be honest, so I can't say from my own experience whether or not
Okay.
they're gonna get a harsher sentence. My concern is if you are looking at attempted murder charges and you've been offered a plea deal of 12 years, but you rather go to trial, what is it that the other side thinks that they have that will prove reasonable doubt?
Mm,
Um, I'll give you a case in point. I know you guys probably have heard about the Rob Reiner situation where his
Yes.
his his son killed him. I mean, it to me it looks like they're already preparing his defense before the public, talking about his drug problem, talking about the fact that he once destroyed his parents' guest house after getting high, and I think said didn't remember it or whatnot. This is him giving interviews and whatnot about his issue with his drug problem. So my concern is, as an attorney, what is it they think they have that will get their client to prove reasonable doubt for the jury, and get away with all of it. that's
mm.
that's the way I'm thinking about it. Just like with the guy, what's the guy who shot the United Healthcare person. Their argument about the police not having a warrant.
Mangione.
Yeah, the Mangione guy, and them showing the video of the police officers and what they did when they spotted him, and whether or not it was a legal search or seizure, potentially trying to get rid of all the evidence, and of course saying that that he shouldn't have been arrested, that they didn't have the warrant to search his bag, they didn't have a warrant to arrest him, or whatever the case may be. I i don't know what their argument is precisely, but that's the type of stuff that I wonder about. I'm like, okay, so what is it that you think you have to show the judge and the jury that's going to get your client either completely off or a much lesser sentence? In this particular case, instead of getting 12 years, seems like they want a complete acquittal, excuse me,
Mm,
or at least to get the case thrown out. So what is it they think they
mm.
have that will work? That, now, don't get me wrong, some people have crazy stupid clients who won't take deals, and if that's the case, it's not the lawyer's fault. All you can do is present it and try to talk them into it. But she says he doesn't want a jury trial, he wants the judge to decide. Okay. Which is another thing. You can bypass having a jury and just ask for a bench trial where the judge makes the decision. Sometimes that's good strategy, sometimes it's not. um, it depends on the situation. With a jury, you have a lot of lay people who aren't as well versed in the law, so it's a lot easier to confuse them. It's a lot easier to basically, I won't say skew the facts, but sometimes say skew the character of the person. You make the If the judge allows certain things to be said, you can make them dislike the other person to the point where it affects what the jury's outcome will be. It shouldn't, which is why it's a lot easier when you're just dealing with, okay, I got a client who just isn't a good guy, but at the end of the day, the law should be on his side and he wins. So I prefer to have a bench trial. And so the judge is like, okay, this he's a butthole, but at the end of the day, he didn't do this, or he didn't deserve to
Mm.
pay this person $1 million
Wow.
in this particular instance because he wasn't the one in the wrong. So there are strategic reasons for asking for just a bench trial
Mm.
versus a jury trial, depending on the circumstances.
So,
Now,
and I have a question.
yeah.
I have a question. So, in that case, in that particular situation, what you just described right now, so you
Hmm.
telling me that the defendant has a right to choose whether he wants a jury trial or a bench trial?
He can request a bench trial, yeah,
Okay.
where it's just the
And
judge making the decision, yeah.
okay, so who decides whether he gets
The
it or not?
judge. Right.
Okay. And Kim was just saying, I'm gonna put this up right now
Hmm.
that uh they are definitely going to show the video. Well, the video, what it
Speaks
should
for
be
itself.
slam dunk. Now, you know the thing that bothers me, Mike and Ann,
Hmm.
is that things that you think are a slam dunk.
Aren't always a slam dunk, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, well, what is it that you think that you can persuade the jury
oh,
to believe, or the judge in this case to believe, if you don't, if you don't have a jury trial, or rather, if you don't accept the plea deal.
Yeah.
It depends on the strategy that the defense team has, or like I said, they could just have a stupid client because there are some people like that guy who was representing himself, the second guy who they caught at Mar-a-Lago, who was going to attempt to assassinate Trump, and he he represented himself, had no clue what he was doing. So I mean, you get those types of people too that that make it very difficult to put on a good defense or to get them the best deal.
all right. And
um
you know, Mike, you can jump in right after this if you want to, right? Kim is thinking, and I have a
Yeah.
question right up there.
That's another
Maybe
part of
he thinks
strategy
that
that
she
Kim's
would
bringing
not
up.
show up. If she does not show up, then it would be in his favor, right?
well, not necessarily. I mean,
Ooh.
there
Come
are
on.
times when witnesses are unavailable or can't show up, and well, especially when you got somebody that's on video committing a crime. That's different. That what I'm concerned about is
Oh
how
man.
they're going to characterize the entire thing. What happened before the video, what angle was it shot from. Yeah, I mean, they come up with all kinds of stuff. What is it that you didn't see? So not being part of the defense, I have no clue what their arguments are going to be. But not having the witness there, yeah, that would be one thing that's not in their favor. But at the same time, if she wasn't the only person there, or even if she was the only person there, is you came into this train station or whatever the case may be, and you had a gun, and it was pointed at this individual. Okay, explain yourself. So if he doesn't testify, then they get to put on their defense without him, which would be interesting, to try to figure out what type of defense they're going to mount. But defendants don't have to testify against themselves, and then she's not there to testify.
Mm,
Still, you got video evidence that he pulled a gun on this woman.
right.
So it's, again,
Wow.
it's when you're talking about having a trial, whether it's a bench trial or a trial before a jury, there are lots of different variables that go, especially the strategy, not just the legal arguments. What The way I got my son AJ to be interested in becoming an attorney is by playing this game. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but when he was little, he loved this game called Slither IO,
Never.
and it strategy goes into it a lot. And so when I explained to him about what, I did for a living and explained to him about certain cases, I said, see, it's like Slither IO, and his eyes lit up. So it's more than just knowing what the black letter law is. A lot of times it's got to do with strategy. A lot of times it has to do with procedure. Like in the Mangione case, it's a multi-layered way of defending or prosecuting, especially in a criminal case like these two.
Hmm. Hey, let
Yeah.
me. We have. Hold my. I'll let you jump in, brother. I promise you.
Okay. Okay.
Black Butterfly wants to know what is this? Black Butterfly. We talk about a case. It's a personal friend of mine and a friend of the show that was almost killed by someone. She worked at Kim. Is it okay that I talk about the name of the company? She worked for this
Just say
major
the railroad and you'll be good. She worked for the
Yeah.
railroad in
She
an
worked for the
office.
railroad, and this guy came in and he wanted to use the restroom. Now,
Mm-hmm.
there's something very, very important here.
Mm-hmm.
He had visited the railroad earlier that day.
Mm-hmm.
He had come in. Kim, correct me if I'm wrong. He came back and
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to use the restroom. And
Mm-hmm.
our
And
friend Kim,
Kim was on the way to unlock the restroom for him.
that's exactly right. Yes, you want to 1,000%.
Okay, I think I was here for that. Okay, now
Yeah.
I'm starting to
And so
remember it.
she's walking in front.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden he pulls out a gun and starts shooting. And
Mm,
luckily, oh my God. And
right.
Mike, the distance there was not that long, bro. We talk about
And
within.
Mhm.
it was a very narrow hallway she was walking down. So
Oh
she was
wow.
trapped in that hallway with him blocking her exit.
Look,
And as
And
she's
shooting
skipping
at
past
her.
him, he starts
Mm,
shooting at her. So her escape
wow.
route was almost non-existent. So
that's
thank
good
God
to
she's
Wow.
see.
alive, Kim. Glad you're here
Amen.
to tell us the
Amen.
story.
I thank
Amen.
God that he was a bad shot.
Yeah,
Right. If he had any aim, it would have been a totally
Oh
different story. Yeah.
yeah.
my. And
Thank
this is the
So
thing
God.
about it. Check this out. She was the only one there. And I tell you what, why this company is liable
Bible.
also, because they had requested security there.
Okay.
They
Okay.
had requested security there
Okay. And they
because you
didn't get
got
it.
these vulnerable people there working, and you know how it is in any public arena, whether it's a restaurant, an airport, or whatever it is. You
Right.
need to have proper security
Right.
because everybody that shows up is not always like mentally stable.
Right.
Mike,
And
Right.
further, she's a lone female working in that trapped building.
come on, man, look.
Yeah.
A lone female.
And
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, go on, Mike. I'm sorry.
So I wanted to go back to something that Ann brought up because she's exactly right in uh, the way they played this game. When their
You got to
strategy
be
is
patient.
it's like a game of chess. You've got all these different players, and you can move all these different players in different directions because they perform differently. And I've
Mhm.
seen it just on my behalf. I've seen where they were offered a plea bargain and waited
Mhm.
to see if I would show up to court to testify against them.
Uh
And
huh.
Mhm.
when I walked in the building or when I walked in the courtroom, all of a sudden, we'll take the plea bargain. They were just waiting to see if I was going to show up. That was one
Right.
strategy that Kim Rogers brought up. The other strategy, I've got a bunch of friends that are attorneys.
Mhm.
I apologize for that.
No, you're
I'm
fine.
kidding you. I'm kidding you. No, I have good friends that are attorneys, and
Mhm.
they're good people.
Good.
And they have told me that the the people involved in the case, the defense knows who the judge is going to be generally.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
they know the reputation of that specific judge, whether they're very harsh or very light
Lenient.
or
Mhm.
yeah. So they
Mhm.
know what judge they're going to go up against, and they'll play that game too to say, oh, this judge lets people off, or they cut the years in half from 12 to 6 or whatever. They know the track record of the judge. So, Ann, you're
Right.
absolutely correct. There's a lot of strategy. It's a big game of chess.
It is. I mean, you have some people who are, um, like for instance, with what I do. There are some people who are pro employer when it comes to unemployment insurance cases. There are other people who,
There you go.
are more, pro. What do you say? Pro claimants, people who've lost their jobs and or for whatever reason. I try to be squarely in the middle as much as possible because I don't want to be biased one way or another.
Right.
But at the same time, when it comes to, somebody's freedom, life or death, you it's really serious. Don't get me wrong, when it's a civil case and money is involved or there's an injunction or something like that, it can be just as serious. It can even be a life or death situation, like people in Memphis trying to get an injunction against Elon Musk from using um, um, grok, polluting the air to deploy grok. If they wanted to do that, that could be life and death for the people who are suffering from asthma and can't breathe and all those other types of issues. So it can be just as serious. But when we're talking about whether or not somebody's going to be in jail for the rest of their lives, versus 5 years or so, people, some of the best lawyers get really creative, especially if they know, this particular judge is, you know more lenient when somebody's had a bad childhood, so they want to put this type of information before the judge, so they'll understand that, oh, they grew up in foster care, or their parents were abusive, or somebody's parent was a drug addict and they've been on the street since they were 12, that type of stuff, that they'll make sure to get the the character of the person that's
The
being
victim,
charged with a crime. Well,
victim or
sometimes
the criminal.
some people will attack the victim's character. That happens a lot in rape cases, especially if you have a person who's been particularly promiscuous or, let's say, sexually adventurous. Let's just put it that way. That's a strategy that
Yeah.
they use very often when it comes to rape victims. But you can have character witnesses, and you can have people talking about what happened in a person's past, like for instance, say they had a therapist who they've been seeing for a long time to come in and tell you about what's been going on in this person's life. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they did something like that with the Rob Reiner murder case, if they had all kinds of people who helped this guy over the years with his addiction problems, parade them before the court, to talk about why he wasn't responsible, why this was a sickness, that type of stuff. So
They
you have all that coming into play, just like Mike said.
they just released today that he was just prior to the killings
Mm-hmm.
of the Reiner mom and dad. They just released that they had just put him on schizophrenic medicine just prior to
Mm,
the
yeah,
killings. So
yeah,
there's another twist. It's not just drug abuse, but now he's on psych meds for
mm-hmm.
schizophrenia. So,
And
did
using
it
drugs
help?
on
Did it
top
hurt?
of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's a lot coming out in that. But yeah, I
It's
could
being
see with
tried
him,
it's being tried in the court of public opinion so far. Yeah.
if this comes out to be true, I could very well see him getting off on a
YouTube.
mental, on what?
YouTube.
No. I get him getting off on the charges of the murder based on his mental ability or lack thereof in this case, because
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I
the
could see them
diminished
pushing that end of it.
capacity, yeah,
Yes.
or whatever they call it. It's called different stuff in different jurisdictions, but diminished capacity, because he's, basically crazy. Yeah,
Mentally incompetent.
right.
Right.
Mental incompetence. I can see the arguments that they're going to make because as soon as he became a suspect, they started showing interviews with him and his dad, both of them talking about his addiction problems, and I'm like, they're already looking to get this kid off. I mean, it's they're already working on it. So, and the lawyer saying, withhold your judgment until everything's all the evidence comes out. Yeah, it's all written. In my opinion, I won't say that the jury pool is being tainted, but kind of because everybody's got a public. Everybody in the public has an opinion about this kid already. At least the people who are paying attention, and if and it's going to be interesting to see what it's like with jury selection.
Yeah,
Um,
anytime they have a high profile case like this, it's real
yeah.
hard to keep things under wraps. And then you get all the people that are conspiracy nuts wearing their tinfoil hats.
Yes.
And then that
Yes.
comes out, and this lie gets spread this way, this gets this way, and it all becomes really mushy. And you
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of disinformation and a lot of non-factual information, and it seems to grow legs, and it ends up
Mm-hmm.
like a spider web going everywhere. It's amazing
Yeah.
what, especially now in this age of immediate communication by way of the internet and such. I mean, within seconds almost when something of this horrific nature happens, because it's
Right.
on the internet right now. You don't have to wait
Right.
for six o'clock news or 11 o'clock news. It's out right now, and everyone on their
Exactly.
phone is getting ping, ping, ping on their phone while they're at work. They're getting minute to minute notifications.
Exactly. And it's on the one hand, it can be helpful. Like if you're in an active shooter type of situation, you know what I'm saying? To know what's going on if you got loved one in that area,
Yeah, there's a good side to it, sure.
or if you're one of the people crouched down in the closet waiting for it to end with your phone on silent looking, you know what I'm saying, at what's happening here and what's happening. Oh, they got them, and you can feel a sigh of relief, you know what I'm saying. But there are so many downsides to the internet. It's amazing how something that was supposed to be a way to benefit the world has done so much to tear it apart. Um, I I was very much against having social media. I think I told William and Dr. Demery this shortly after we met. I'm like, I did not have a Facebook account or anything until the Lord made me start eating as an active worship ministries, and I guess it was like 2014, and then by 2016, I'd met William and Reverend Demery, and so many good things have happened because of that. I've met so many people that I wouldn't ordinarily know or have relationships with. And William and I have been friends. Next year, it'll be 10 years, and I've never seen him face to face. But we've, have been
Probably a
friends,
good thing.
had a wonderful working relationship, from a distance. And there's so many other people like Dr. Koye Oyorende, who was on the kids show.
He was great. He was
Yeah, he's
great.
awesome. He's awesome. And every time I call him, we co-authored a book together, and that's how I met him. By the person um, um, who uh, who got everybody together. And she's in Atlanta. Never met her face to face either, but she knows one of my relatives who lives in Atlanta, so it's amazing. But at any rate, I say all that to say there's a lot of good there. In a lot of ways, social media can bring us together, and I'm a witness, to it bringing me to meet some awesome people. But I think the harm is either outweighing the good, or it's out magnified. It's over magnifying the good. And personally, I do think that the harm is outweighing the good. I don't
I,
think it's just an over magnification, but that's just
and
me.
I hope you're wrong about that. Uh, but uh,
Mm-mm.
but hey, I'm not going to dispute what you're saying, because social media has so many. Like I said, I met Mike in person, so there's no issue
Hmm.
there. But I've never met you in person. But I
Right?
feel like you're one of my closest friends.
We are really good friends, but think about think about everything else that's happened. A lot of the problems that we are dealing with globally, not just
Mm,
locally, not just nationally, globally, trace back to the internet.
It
All
does.
of it.
It does.
All the misinformation, all the lies. Like Mike was saying, stuff gets out, and it people you know can look at it immediately, and
Hmm.
then we share it with other people, and you it goes around the world in seconds. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
people have lost the ability to tell what's real and what's not. And
Hmm.
it's all because of the way that the internet does things. People talk about the media. I mean, I remember before the rise of the internet, people were talking about how the media can skew things to look one way or the other way. Well, the internet has done that on a bigger scale than ever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's one thing to have a camera trick here where you see something from one angle that makes it look that way. It's another thing to have it, circulating the globe a million times over, not to mention employing like 50 million tricks to make it look the way that you want it to look. I'll give you a case in point, just real quick. As an example, I was watching a video. It was from somebody in a from one Scandinavian country, Denmark, Sweden, somewhere like that. And so they were saying that they were having a problem with the Muslim population, saying that they were raping women and showing a video that appeared to be of some men gang raping a
Mm.
girl.
Mm.
Now, me being an attorney, I'm like, my thing is, I'm taught to critically think. Okay, when was this video created? Where was it taken? You know what I'm saying? Is this showing me what you're telling me it's showing me? But other people look at that, and they were listening to this girl talk about, the police wouldn't even go into the neighborhood where these people live because it's so violent and it's so overrun. They've kind of taken over this part of the area, and these people can't acclimate to our society, and blah blah blah. You need to wake up, and blah. And this was just like I said, a video that was made by somebody from a European country. So when you're looking at all of this stuff and you are taking it at face value, the way that you do when you go to a movie, you know what I'm saying? We at my house, we make it a sport to point out the lies and the problems with the footage. We will stop and rewind and show you. Do you see the person standing in the back? We love to do that, but not everybody does that. Looks at things with that type of critical eye, and they just take it
Hmm.
as at face value, and so it goes a long way towards spreading lies, spreading misinformation, spreading hate, fomenting racism and violence. It has caused, I think it is the singular worst weapon of mass destruction that we've created in a long time.
I think you're right because misinformation or false information and these things, uh, it can kill people. Oh,
Right.
there was this, and we all grew up with this, I'm sure. And you did, and Mike, you did, and I did. And that was the most ridiculous thing that people were saying. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Yeah, I remember that.
No, no. Oh
They
my
hurt.
God. They kill.
Mm-hmm.
People have been get killed by the words that they
Mm-hmm.
speak. You
Mm-hmm.
take about like Rob Reiner, who just tragically got killed by his own son. Okay,
Right.
and people are
Allegedly.
going,
Look,
and
we must
people are
say
going.
allegedly.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you for that, Ann.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that because we really don't know. We aren't there. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And with this inept judicial system that we have right now and policing, we don't know what is true, what is factual, because this dysfunctional FBI right now, they claim that they have people, they've arrested people, and then they have to let that person go. Then they have to go back and find a real. You really don't know what's going on. Um,
Right.
this is probably the most dysfunctional administration that I've ever witnessed on my years in this planet, on this planet, right? It
Mm,
is absolutely incredible. There's so much dysfunction, incompetence, and I don't want to hear a person tell me a damn thing about DEI when you got the dumbest people running this country right now. The
mm,
dumbest. You look at the Department of Defense, which that incompetent Pete Hegseth have said Department of War. Unqualified. I'm gonna pull up something right now because there's so much going on. We're talking about blowing up boats off of Venezuela.
mm,
And so, guys, I'm gonna tell you something. This DEI, I'm gonna call it a hoax. I'm gonna take a 47's
mm.
thing.
Terminology.
Yeah, I'm gonna call this a hoax. DEI hoax, folks. It's not about DEI because if it was about DEI, then why would you erase Black history in the military? Why would you
Period.
do that? Why would you erase history at all? It's all about erasing Black history. It
Mm,
has nothing to do with DEI. It's not about white people losing their jobs. It's about uh, 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 putting out there a narrative. Say, yeah, oh, this Black person is here uh, because they were Black. They got this position when they were Black. And if you think about it, and I know this for a fact, if you get a high position as a Black person in this country, you have to work twice as hard, have to have twice the credentials before you even get that job.
mm.
Okay? So
Yep.
let's say that. Let's talk about the jobs. What does it have to do with erasing history? And Mike sent me a text several months ago when they wanted to erase Jackie Robinson. And Mike said he was upset about that.
Right.
Shouldn't I have been?
You did. You did.
That was a load of BS.
It was
Right.
a little BS.
Right.
So what I'm saying to you guys, it is all about distortion, and which is a segue into what I'm going to talk about right now, and we're going to go into this. Venezuela. Right now, we are attacking Venezuela unprovoked, and the administration wants you to believe it's all about drugs coming to the United States. I'm going to debunk that because it has nothing to do with Venezuela bringing drugs to America. I'll tell you why. Because if it was about drugs, then it wouldn't start at Venezuela. It would have to be China bringing fentanyl into the United States via whatever the southern border or the northern border, whatever it is. Okay? And Colombia, who has exported cocaine. How about Mexico bringing in drugs? But you want to attack Venezuela, and it has nothing to do with the illegal strikes that we are doing right now. And I'm gonna tell you what. Look at. Let me see. I'm gonna pull something up right now. Okay. Let me play this. Let me do this because if that were the case, then why would you seize? I think it's up to 3 tankers right now taking Venezuela oil. Now, everybody knows Venezuela has the largest oil deposits in the world. It's
Mm,
about the United States taking their oil and a regime change. It has nothing to do with drugs, nothing at all. And you are killing people. And we're going to do this shortly. Um, Anybody want to say anything before I pull up this video?
Well, I will say that I remember growing up when they had the quote unquote war on drugs. And when I got to college, and I minored in finance, one of my professors said there is no war on drugs, because if there really was a war on drugs, we would probably send America into recession because so
Mm,
much of the American economy is
mm,
wrapped up in drug money. And he explains like a lot of people who can't get jobs that pay them well. You have a lot of those people who turn to selling drugs in order to make ends meet. He's like, so these people are putting money into the economy. This is just my professor's point of view. I'm just repeating it. I'm not saying he was right. I'm just saying that's what he said. And so he was talking about how if that money was no longer put into the economy, because I can't remember the figure he said, probably, guesstimating was the amount of money that was going into the
mhm.
America's gross domestic product at that time. He said that it would negatively impact the economy to the point where it would probably send it into a recession or depression. But go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I don't. I wouldn't go that far. There's certain elements of what your professor said that I agree with,
Mm-hmm.
because when money's involved,
Mm-hmm.
people's morals tend to go out the window, and
Mm-hmm.
people that are desperate will tend to do desperate things in order to
Mm-hmm.
survive. However, when we're talking about drugs in particular in the black market, uh, this is a really evil thing that has come to our United States, and it needs to be stopped. And what they've done in the past, even with Nancy Reagan, what was her slogan? Just say no, right?
Right. Right.
Or
That was weak.
parent, yeah. But I guess the point I'm making here is that all the standing on soapboxes and preaching to everybody that we're going to fight this and we're going to get drugs out of what have they actually accomplished? There's more
Mm,
drugs coming into America than there ever been coming in before. So
exactly.
what the United States has been doing, regardless of who the president is, regardless of who's in the Pentagon, regardless of who's in positions of power, it hasn't worked. So everyone's heard this. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So we're not getting the results that we need. It's gotten worse. So there, at some point, you have to go, all right, enough. We have to change our perspective on this. We have to go about stopping this in a more dramatic way because, I told little Johnny not to stick the fork in the electric socket, but he stuck it in anyway. And then he did it again. And then he did it again. At some point, you got to do what one of my predecessors, one of my mentors, he said, sometimes you have to take little Johnny and tap the reset button. And what he meant by that was the boot. So
Mm,
you have to get their attention in some way to make them stop doing negative things that are going to hurt them or hurt others. And I think the point I'm making here is it hasn't worked. We need to tap the reset button and do something more significant, more dramatic to make this stop. And thanks,
Mm,
Sam.
yeah.
well,
And,
preventative measures would help, like for instance, putting the guards in the sockets so that little Johnny, he tried to, he couldn't do
yeah.
it.
And you would not murder little Johnny.
Right,
You're
right.
not gonna kill him.
No, but
Okay.
I'll tap his reset button.
Yep. Yeah, you can tap his reset button. My point is, what
Tap that
is done?
behind a couple of times, see if little Johnny gets the
Yeah, yeah.
message.
You tap his behind, and then if you have to send little Johnny to jail, send little Johnny to jail. The
We
point
don't want to
is,
do that if
Works
we
for
can help it.
well, yeah, send him to jail, but you don't murder little Johnny.
Right,
This
right,
is the
right.
point that I'm making right now, because there's a process called due process here in the
Right.
United States. And Mike, as a law enforcement officer, when you stop a drug dealer, or
allegedly.
whatever you did on the street, okay, and
Allegedly a
because
police
they
officer.
ran or whatever it is, you didn't kill them. You
That wasn't my
arrested them.
job.
You
As
arrested them and put them in jail. So the thing about it is, if you are blowing up these vessels, okay, and Venezuela or waters or international waters, and you have what you think there are the drug cartel or whatever it is, wouldn't it make more sense to seize the boat, find out if you have the evidence, lock their butts up? Because guess what? That way,
They've done that. It didn't work. Now what?
hold on. You will have the evidence, and you can also go forward. And then those little fish, because they are little fish, the cartels are the big fish. Then that will leave you to be able to capture the bigger fish.
Doesn't work.
Okay? It does work. It does work. But they're not going to look. If you lock them up and they can't get, what you mean it doesn't work?
It doesn't work. That's what they've done in the past. They've locked people up. They confiscated the drugs. And then guess what? They're back out working for the cartels. And they're not going to roll over. Hang on. They're not going to roll over on the cartels because the cartels know where their families at, where their kids are at, where their kids go to school. And if you roll over on the cartel, your family's dead. So this doesn't work.
No, it does work. I'm gonna tell you why. Because you're not getting out. You're not getting out, and the cartels can't break into prison. All right, that's not going to happen.
The cartels are already operating in the prisons.
But also, let me tell you where your argument falls short. You don't even have the evidence whether they had drugs or not because you blew it all up. If you drop these missiles on a boat, you've blown up the boat. You've blown up the people. You've also blown up the drugs. So where is your evidence?
I believe I sent you pictures of the drug boats.
I don't care about those evidence.
No, you don't care about the evidence. You don't care about real pictures.
It's not evidence, Mike.
You can tell it's a drug boat. The packages are clearly drug packages.
Hey, Mike.
All the intelligence, hold on. All the intelligence has already happened before they blow up these boats. They just don't. Hold on, William. Give me a chance here. They just don't go out and blow up a boat that sort of looks this way. They've already done the intelligence. They know who's packing the boat with drugs. They know when it's leaving. They know who's on the boat. They know they've already verified there's drugs on the boat. There's a lot of intel that's already gone into determining this is a drug boat and it's headed towards America. And then once they have all that evidence and clues and they know what's going on, then they'll blow it up.
Yeah, Mike,
they're not just randomly blowing up boats.
They are randomly blowing up boats because guess what? No. Because the last one, especially the one that killed these two survivors on there, how in the world you have no evidence? You've blown it all up. You don't have any evidence, Mike.
They have the intel in advance.
Are you trying to tell me? Let me ask you a question. You've blown the boat to smithereens. You've blown up and killed 9 out of 11 people. You've blown them up. How in the world do you find and the pictures that you sent and the drug boat that you posted one time that looked like something out of Gilligan's Island? I mean, that was years ago. That old boat, no, those fishing boats that you showed me don't even exist anymore. They're more modern. The point that I'm getting at,
William.
Mike, you don't have any evidence because you blew it all up.
I showed you the difference between a fishing boat and a drug boat, and you still, with your own eyes, won't believe it.
Because guess what? I'm not convinced that there were boats. There were drugs on that boat because you also posted a picture months ago or a month or so ago with these packages of cocaine, which doesn't even come from Venezuela. It comes from Colombia. Okay, you showed me packages that were in perfect condition. If you're blowing up the whole damn boat, you don't have perfect packages.
Some of the packages floated and they gathered.
You're going to tell me that a bomb that you dropped on a doggone boat, the only thing that survived were the drugs?
Two people survived. We dropped a bomb, but 2 people survived. Well, if 2 people can survive, then the drug packages, some of the drug packages can survive also. So that bomb doesn't mean everything disappeared because you yourself have said there's 2 people that survived.
2 people that survived. That's right. Hanging on to something as large as a kitchen table. And guess what? Your side has put out that these guys were trying to radio somebody. They didn't have any damn radios. They trying to they fended for their lives. Okay, and there was nobody else, no other boats in sight to rescue these people. There's a whole bunch of crap, man. How are you going to, in a court case, you would lose, and you would lose desperately because you've blown up any evidence if you had any.
Okay.
And go and
I
jump in real
think
quick.
both of you are making really good points, but I think from a frustrated law enforcement side, so I'm gonna help you out a little bit here, Mike. I if you guys remember this guy called El Chapo, do you remember him?
Yes.
He, I think he's like maybe the poster child for what Mike is saying about the issues with cartels and them not getting punished. This particular guy, according to the U.S. Department of State's website, his real name is Joaquin Guzman Loera, aka El Chapo. He became involved in drug trafficking in the late 1980s as a trafficker and air logistics expert for the once powerful Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo. Guzman Loera eventually became the leader of the Shinola cartel. I'm just gonna say El Chapo where they put his real name. El Chapo was arrested on June 9th, 1993 in Mexico on charges related to murder and drug trafficking and was sentenced to a 20-year prison term. However, on January 2001, El Chapo escaped from the federal maximum security prison in Mexico. While on the run from Mexican authorities, El Chapo reestablished himself as a top-ranking member of the Shinola cartel and leader of the Mexican drug trade, becoming the world's #1 fugitive and a Forbes listed billionaire. He was rearrested on February 22nd, 2014 in a modest resort hotel in Mazatlán, Shinola, Mexico, as a result of sustained operation on as a result of a sustained operation, period. On July 11th, 2015, he again escaped from Aluplano, looks like I may be messing that up. Altiplano Federal Maximum Security Prison in the state of Mexico. Now, you guys may remember that this was when this Joker had a tunnel out from the jail
He did.
and got out. So I say all that to say I understand, law enforcement's frustration with the system when it comes to putting away the people at the top, like the quote unquote billionaire drug dealers. At the same time, I see this as a criminal issue, not a act of war against a nation state. So I don't see Venezuela at war with the United States. I do see that Venezuela has a very entrenched, probably very powerful crime syndicate that maybe it's not in control of. But the question to me is it like Russia? Russia is almost, Russia and its criminal underground isn't so much underground. The Russian government and the criminals are basically in cahoots with one another. They work together. So those two things are, one and the same there. So if you're trying to tell me that Venezuela is like that, then okay, then you need to make that connection. Mm-hmm. Right now they haven't made that connection. So what it looks like is what goes on everywhere else, that you have some criminals who you wish that they would put their minds to work, in legitimate causes. Who knows, the world could be a better place, instead of coming up with all this crap that they do to get drugs out of one country and into the next, including forcing people in some cases, because that's one type of human trafficking where they force people to be drug mules, who are carrying drugs inside their bodies, which is very dangerous. Many people have died doing it. So it's not just when you think of human trafficking, the sex part gets a lot of attention, but human trafficking deals with drug uh, usage, drug um,
They go
uh,
hand in hand.
right. All of that goes together. So there are a lot of people who are forced
Mm-hmm.
into to transporting drugs on behalf of people who are much richer, much better connected,
Mm-hmm.
who are much better insulated from from being caught by the police. So, and that's the side I think William is on. So I wanted to say that, all that to say that you both have valid points, but at the end of the day, unless somebody can make the connection that the government of Venezuela and the criminal enterprise that's dealing with drugs in Venezuela are one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for years, everybody's known that Putin and the crime lords in Russia are basically on one accord. Then then what you are doing is killing people who are basically not been tried and convicted
That's right.
of something. So hopefully that helps to clear things up and we can move on and y'all can stop arguing.
Okay. Mike had a statement to make. Mike, go on and make your statement.
There's virtually no difference between Russia and Venezuela. They're both hugely corrupt. The government is all part of the same cartels. And how do I know that? Because I was there. I was there in 2005. I spent a whole week in Venezuela. Under Hugo Chavez was the president / dictator at the time. Extremely corrupt. If I've told this story before, you guys stop me, but they voted every 6 years for their president. And Hugo Chavez was overwhelmingly elected every time. You know who ran the election? His brother. And when if you voted against Hugo, they put it on your driver's license. So all the federales, if they ever pulled you over or whatever, it showed on your license that you voted against Hugo Chavez.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely corrupt. And the people there where I was, the disaster occurred in 1999. I was there in 2005. It looked like a war zone. Hugo Chavez did nothing to help those people. I was in a town next to Caracas called Vargas. And that government was more concerned with their oil money and their corruption than they were concerned with taking care of the people. I personally witnessed this. So don't tell me that, and it's not the people of Venezuela. And I've made this point before. It's not the people of Venezuela. It's the government of Venezuela that's suppressing their people. Venezuela was one of the richest countries in the world at one time. And now they're in ruins financially as well as governmentally. So, William, my concern with you, my friend, is that you seem more worried about the rights and protection of the criminals bringing drugs into America than you seem concerned with the death, hundreds of thousands of people that die every year, not just over 10 years, but every year over 100,000 people die from drug overdoses or some type of drug-related deaths. You seem way more concerned about these criminals, the evil side of this world. You seem more concerned with them than you are about the 100,000 people who died and affected all the family members who lost their loved one. So I'd like you to explain to me why the drug cartels and the druggies and the drug boats are more important than the American people and the kids dying.
I'm glad you asked me this question. How dare you?
I dare.
How dare you? I'm concerned about any inhumanity, any deaths, or any way. You do not get a chance to do that. No,
you haven't mentioned the kids at all.
No, hold on. I'll let you speak.
I understand.
You crossed the line.
I don't think so.
No, I know so. Perception is reality. How dare you? I am concerned about every life. There are people that die every day, and I don't even know them, and I'm concerned about them and their families. Don't even do that. You're not going to.
You haven't mentioned them at all. All you've mentioned is defending these druggies, these drug transporters. That's all you've mentioned. Not once in all of our conversations have you ever mentioned the dead people, the dead Americans. Not once have you mentioned them.
Women, hold it.
That's very telling.
No, it's not telling anybody anything except for you. Look, like I said, how dare you? and don't you ever do that to me again.
If I
Because
call,
I'm always
I call
concerned.
strikes and balls, William.
No,
I
they
call
ain't
strikes and
nothing.
balls.
Mike, I'm talking right now.
Okay.
I'm talking right now. Don't ever do that. I'm concerned about every life. Okay? What I'm saying is, if you're going to kill people, give me some facts. And you haven't given them any. All you do is cover for this evil regime that you support right now. Right now, you support them. Don't ever do that. I'm not going to allow you to do that with me on my network. You're not going to do that.
You invite me on the show
No, I'm talking.
to be honest.
I'm
To be
reclaiming my
honest.
time.
Well, no, you're talking
I'm
over the top of
reclaiming
me
my
now. You
time.
invited me on the
I'm
show to call
reclaiming my
balls and strikes
time.
and be honest.
I'm reclaiming my time.
I'm giving
You are
you my
not
honest
giving me
opinion, and
facts.
I'm calling
You
balls
do
and
not.
strikes as
No,
I
no.
see
You
them.
don't get a chance to attack me.
I'm
Well,
not
you are
attacking
dead
you.
wrong.
I'm asking you why you don't ever mention the dead people and their families. It's
Mike,
a question.
what the hell are you talking about? I always acknowledge that I feel for any family that have lost a loved one. Okay, but what I'm saying to you is that what's going on right now with the evil regime that you are supporting are blowing up people with no fucking. I'm sorry.
You
No,
let it out. It came out. Yeah, it came out. I heard.
with no evidence.
we heard
With
you.
no
That's
evidence.
not true.
Come on,
It's not
it
true.
is.
It's not true.
Okay.
And I can't believe that a former law enforcement officer is willing, somebody that you don't even know that have committed a crime, you okay with shooting somebody in the back. And that's what you endorsing
No,
right
that's
now.
not what I said.
That's
not
what
what I said.
exactly
It's
what
not
I'm
even
saying.
close.
Because this last strike that we reported, okay, you had two men hanging onto a board, and you have no evidence that it had drugs on that boat.
Yeah, they did. They
No,
did
and
their
you have-
intel.
No, guess what? Then why hasn't this administration released that second video with with them killing people? With law enforcement, you are not obligated or supposed to kill a suspect. If you have a suspect in strike,
Apples and oranges.
Apple's my okay.
Apples and oranges. Two
No,
completely different
Mike.
situations.
Mike, why are you covering from an evil regime? Because
I'm not
the
covering for a
point is-
regime. I'm
Yes, you
covering.
are.
I'm
No,
covering for the
no,
dead people that lost their lives
no,
because
no,
of
hell
drug
no.
traffickers.
No, Mike,
That's
not-
the ones
not
I'm
going to,
concerned with.
because it's not about drugs. Then the United States have confiscated 3 oil barges. What does oil have to do with drugs? Come on, my friend. Wake up that brain of yours.
Do you want
Now-
an answer?
No,
Do you want an
not
answer?
yet.
Or just
Not
keep
yet,
talking?
because I'm
Okay, you
still
don't want
talking.
an answer.
I
You
don't
want
want
to
to
hear the answer.
I don't hear a doggone thing from you right now until I finish talking. My point is, if you are so concerned about drugs, then why are you confiscating oil barges from Venezuela? You know why? Because it's never been about drugs. It's never been about drugs. It's about taking Venezuela oil. That's what it's all, and regime change. It has nothing to do with drugs at all. Because I'm going to tell you something, and let me talk to you right now. Let me enlarge this screen right now. If what you're saying is true, then why in the hell did he pardon Juan Orlando Hernandez from Honduras? Why did he pardon this man that brought in over 400 tons of cocaine to America?
Now, he was
Why
convicted.
did he pardon them?
He was
Answer that.
We've already had this conversation. I
No,
already
we're
told
gonna
you
have it
why.
again right now. We're gonna have it
Okay.
again right now. No.
let me know when I can answer.
You know what? You excuse it because it is right to do the pardon. Yeah, you doing the right wing thing. You're dancing around it. Why, if you're so concerned about drugs, why in the hell are you gonna let a man out of prison that was convicted here in America for bringing on 400 tons of cocaine? Answer that.
Can I speak now?
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead,
think
Mike.
I
Go
was
ahead.
quiet.
Go ahead,
Answer
Mike.
that.
So let's start with where I was trying to answer you, and you wouldn't
Answer
let me.
my question. Answer my question.
I will. Let's
Stop
start with
playing No, you're playing games. Answer the damn question.
I'm trying.
No, you're not.
I'm going to answer everything that you brought up. The reason they're taking the oil tankers is because that oil from Venezuela is going to other countries, and that money coming back to Venezuela is feeding the regime, the evil regime, that's also feeding the manufacturing of drugs. So they've confiscated those oil tankers.
Bullshit.
So the money's
The drugs are coming from Colombia. The drugs are coming from Mexico. The drugs are coming from China. Don't hand me that crap.
Okay, don't forget
from,
it's a Christian program. We got to watch the cursing.
Okay.
The drugs are coming from Venezuela,
sorry,
and the drugs are coming from Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, China. They're coming from all over, and it needs to stop. And what they've been doing over the decades hasn't caused the ceasing of the drugs coming into America. So the reason they're taking the oil tankers is to stop the money flow, to stop the drugs being manufactured. Now, moving on to your second question, this gentleman person, evil person in your eyes that was pardoned by Trump, the explanation, and I don't have everything in front of me, but the explanation is that it was a what do they call it? A kangaroo court, because he was accused of doing things, and then the witnesses against him were the people that he had got into trouble. These were evil people that were part of the cartels, and they were the ones testifying against this guy. So he did not get according to the current regime, that you like to call it, he did not get a fair trial, and that is why he received the pardon, according to them. I don't know. I've only got bits and pieces of the information. And I'm going to side with you, William, for a second. If this gentleman did exactly what you said he did, he belongs in. You don't know that. He belongs in prison the rest of his life. He belongs in prison the rest of his life.
Serving 40 years in prison, convicted by an American court for bringing over 400 tons of cocaine. Mike?
Okay, it's Mike's turn, William. Let Mike finish.
Based on biased witnesses. So if you go to court and you're accused of doing something wrong, and the witnesses against you have been determined to be biased against you, then that's hardly a fair trial. And I'm sure Ann will back me up on this. As far as fair trials go, you have to be unbiased. It's facts, the facts, just the facts, and only the facts.
The man was in
but
prison.
if you got people that lied to put you behind bars, is that a fair trial? I'll answer it for you. No, it's not.
Was it proven that the people who lied against
by way of lying witnesses?
It was not, Mike.
Proved by way of lying witnesses.
Okay, I think it's my turn now, right? I think it's my turn, right?
Let Ann get in there, please.
Okay.
As the voice of reason, Ann, please.
Mike, Mike, because what you've been saying right now makes no sense at all. The man he was convicted by the United States courts. He was convicted.
Based on bogus information.
Trump pardoned him because he said, well, people told me that he was unlawfully convicted. Trump is not a judge and jury. He's a convicted felon himself.
Well, that's all. That you talk about BS. Holy smokes.
No, he is a convicted felon.
I'd like to hear from Ann.
I think it's my turn.
Okay, and I'm gonna toss it over to you.
I know it's your turn.
But what Mike is saying is pure BS. The man is convicted. He's in prison, and Trump pardoned him, and he says he's anti-drugs when it's been proven that the man brought in over 400 tons of cocaine into this America. Okay. Come on, don't play with me.
All right. And historically speaking, you can go back thousands of years to determine that human beings have been using drugs for a long time. I don't know if you guys have recall this. I think it's a long poem. Is it the Iliad and the Odyssey? At one point, these people were in the story, ancient Greeks, they washed up on the shore of some island, and there were there was a field of, I think, poppies, which, as you know, is where the opium comes from. And they were so high that they couldn't see their way out of the field to get back into their boats to leave. I remember
I
reading
remember.
that to my kids to explain to them why we don't do drugs and how it messes with the mind. I say all that to say this is a problem that humanity has been dealing with since people first figured out they could get high. um, and I don't think it's going to go away, even if we do go to war with Venezuela. There will be someone somewhere, even if they have to grow their own marijuana stash in their backyard, even if they, find what do you call it, a doctor, like the doctors who have been in the news recently for helping. Who's the guy from Friends? Overdose. Not to mention the guy who was convicted for helping Michael Jackson get
Right.
medical surgical grade drugs. There will be someone out there who wants to get high. Somebody out there who's prone to addiction, and they will find a way, whether it's going to five different stores to get Sudafed and cooking up meth at home, or whatever the case may be. So that I say all that to say this: violating a person's right under the current system that we have to due process is not going to resolve the issue. If anything, it's going to result in more people, innocent people dying. Um, the best way, the best way to prevent a disease is, or rather, to not get a disease is a preventative measure. I think we need to put in a whole lot more investment into preventing um, people from becoming entangled with drugs, whether it's selling drugs or using drugs. And a lot of what goes into people selling drugs has to do with poverty. A lot of what goes into people using drugs has to be their choice of entertainment, or self medicating from the problems that they're experiencing. Often, you know, poverty plays into it too. So I think if we do a better job of educating people about the dangers of drugs instead of going on these campaigns across the country to legalize drugs, which, in case you hadn't noticed, we've been making great strides to legalize marijuana. First starting off with quote unquote medical grade marijuana, but then you have places that have just made it okay to use marijuana legally. Um, I'm sorry. I kind of don't think that's winning the war against drugs. I think that's enabling people to foster an environment where drug use is okay. And so if we're saying that this drug is okay, why not getting high on other things? In other words, we seem to be hypocritical.
Slippery,
Yeah,
slippery slope.
Well, yeah.
exactly, exactly.
w-
So I think what we are dealing with is what humanity has dealt with for generations. That there is a subset of people who are prone to addiction, who, if you don't prevent them from getting caught up in that cycle, will find themselves on the wrong end of a needle, on the wrong end, of the morgue because they've overdosed. And we need to work on ways to get people what they need so that they don't feel the need to sell drugs, so that they don't feel the need to use drugs, so that they get pain management help they need so that they don't end up getting accidentally addicted to drugs. And of course, holding pharmaceutical companies and other people accountable for creating drugs that are way more potent than they need to be. For instance, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but since
Opioids.
well, not just opioids, but since marijuana has become legalized, they're doing the same thing with it that they did with tobacco, and they were increasingly making tobacco more addictive. So it was harder for people to stop using it. They're doing that now with
Yep.
marijuana to the point where people are being hospitalized because of marijuana use, causing them to go to the hospital. We're talking about people vomiting, and excessive vomiting, getting extremely sick, because they are using marijuana. Used to be, the biggest thing that people talked about were the mental health side effects, making you feel paranoid and that type of stuff. Well, it's gotten worse. So I think on the one hand, you've got us saying that we want to stop the war on drugs, but then at the same time signing an executive order reclassifying marijuana. That it and the states before this even got to this point legalizing marijuana. I think we're being a bit hypocritical here if what we want to do is save people's lives
Right.
and stop drugs from coming into the country. What we need to do is to do a better job at teaching children that one of the one of the best things that ever happened to me, and I'll say this to the day I die, is being scared to death of drugs when I was in elementary school. We had to watch this film, and you couldn't watch it without your parents' permission. They had to sign a sheet of paper about it and everything. It was terrifying. They showed you literally people getting high on all kinds of drugs and overdosing, getting their stomachs pumped, people, being put in rooms to restrain themselves because they were so messed up. They thought the wall was a door, and if they just ran fast enough, they could get through. I mean, it was terrifying. And then to have a family member who, was strung out on drugs and ended up in prostitution, ended up, um, getting HIV and eventually dying, because of AIDS. That only reinforced, the feelings of, I don't ever want to pick that fight. I don't want to know if I'm one of the people, who drugs don't affect to that degree or not. It's not worth it to mess up my world potentially, um just just for artificial high. I'd rather do things in this life that make me feel good naturally. Getting that, you know embedded into a child's brain before they get to the point where, they are they have to choose between the friends in their lives or getting high or getting in trouble with their parents. I think that's more important. And then giving people jobs that will allow them to take care of themselves and their families, so that they don't feel the need to turn to criminal activity in order to make ends meet, in order to live good lives. I think that's very important. There are a lot of different things that we need to do as a people, that will help us to, keep our community safe, our family members safe, rather than going to war with another country. We can do a whole lot more, on the front end to prevent that, including holding, pharmaceutical companies, holding these cannabis companies, all these people accountable, so that they aren't producing people who need something stronger and stronger to get this artificial high that ends up killing them, rather than going to war with other folks. I think we got a lot of other work to do first on the preventative side before we say, oh, the next step is automatically going to war with anybody who ships drugs into America. When we in America are raising up cannabis farms all over the place, and getting our own people high.
Right, Mike?
My opinion of this is that we have tried the whole educational thing. How many times, how often do you know about everything that happens in high school and such, the movies that Ann was talking about, the education that's mandatory, whether they show this movie or not, but the education, drugs are bad, drugs are bad, drugs are bad. Our government, going back again to Nancy Reagan, just say no to drugs. How many advertisements do you need to see on TV that say, this is your brain on drugs? You know, that
As many as possible. More
how
than
much more, how much do you think people that do drugs, do you think that they're completely oblivious to knowing that drugs are bad, but they do it anyway? So
yes.
how much education can you provide when they're going to ignore that education, ignore that information, and they're going to do the drugs anyway? At what point do you
Yes.
cut your losses and go, All right, I'm done. I'm done spanking you, Johnny, because you're not paying attention to me. So now you get to go into law enforcement and you get to go into jail because you're not listening to me as a parent. At what point do you do the tough love thing and go, no? San Francisco had safe spaces for injecting drugs,
Mm-hmm.
needles, heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And I disagree
San,
with that.
San Francisco had these safe places where you can go in and
I
inject your
agree.
drugs. So
Mm-hmm.
and Ans makes the good point. If we're going to okie dokie this stuff, then it's going to happen. But
Mhm.
you can't tell me that everyone on the face of the earth that's injecting drugs, snorting drugs, smoking drugs, taking pills or whatever, you can't tell me that they don't know the dangers. You
Well,
can't
I'm
tell me
not
they don't
telling
know
you
that
that.
you
well,
can't tell me they don't
yeah,
know that the dangers of smoking. That you know the dangers of smoking, you know the dangers of doing drugs. All these people that are smoking and doing drugs, they know the dangers, but it
yes.
Mhm.
doesn't stop them.
Like I said, this is a problem that has been going on since men and women first realized they could get high. And it's you've
Yeah.
got a certain subset of people who are just going to do it. People huff they huff
Pain,
cleaning agents. Yeah,
pain.
they will get high on anything. So you're not going to be able to eradicate it completely. Like you said, that even with the education, some people just want to get high. It is going to happen. That's just the
Mhm.
way it is. Killing people, instead of arresting them, prosecuting them, finding them guilty, and putting them in jail, isn't going to change that. So, while I said we can do more work to stop it, you stop people like me from ever wanting to try a drug. I'm 50 years old and I still have absolutely no desire to ever try marijuana or anything else. It just
Okay.
to me is foolishness. But there there's another group of people that can't wait to grow up and get away from their parents' houses and at least take a hit one time,
Right.
see what it's all about, because
Right.
that's who they are. And that there's nothing that you can do to change their mindset, just like you
Yes,
and
you do.
William talking to each other. William is set on the way he thinks about politics. You are set about the way you think about politics. Nothing he says
Yep.
is going to change your mind. Nothing you say is going to change his mind. It's the same way with those people that you mentioned, Mike. There are people out there who are just going to get high, who want to get high, who want to know what it's like. And there's nothing you can do about it. They will find a way to get it done.
Right.
Period.
Now, let me just jump in here real quick because you have people. I understand both sides of your arguments here, but you have also people that are addicted to legal drugs that they can buy from their doctor, from their pharmacists.
Like I said,
You have
there's
people that are addicted to those drugs,
mhm,
and
mhm.
I'm going to say this: all drugs aren't created equal.
Nope.
You take fentanyl, you can't compare that to marijuana. Cocaine, you cannot compare that to marijuana. Meth, you can't uh, uh, compare that to marijuana. Marijuana has been subscribed by doctors. It is a natural drug.
Bruh,
Whether
stop.
you are, would you agree with that or not, that's okay and that's fine.
Cocaine's been
What,
prescribed.
what I'm saying
Heroin's been
is,
prescribed.
marijuana has been subscribed.
Yes,
However,
these are prescription medications. I agree that they have
okay,
been prescribed.
well, I'm not finishing.
Okay.
Now, my point is there are, and it's proven that certain drugs will cause certain after effects, or yeah, after effects that certain drugs do not. Like meth. Oh my God. I mean, what is that doing um, for us? Cocaine. What is that doing? Okay, you take all fentanyl, it kills. And I'm going to just say this: nobody has ever been killed behind marijuana. unless it's been laced with something else.
I was
So,
about to say.
what I'm saying is,
Yeah,
hold on.
marijuana kills too.
Marijuana does not kill.
Yes, it does.
It has relieved so many people of pain. No, it does not, Mike. You have never, ever seen a case where marijuana has killed somebody unless
Absolutely
it's been,
have.
Mike, I'm talking, unless it's been laced with something else. Marijuana has never killed anybody. No, that is not true at all. That is
Can
not
can
true. It is
can
not
I
true.
can I answer you?
No, no, no. You can ask
Again, you
after
don't
I
want to hear
finish
the
up.
answer. Okay.
You know, Mike, do whatever you want. What I'm saying is, I'm talking right now. I let you talk. I let Ann talk. I let you talk, and now it's my time. Okay, you can talk right after me. I have no issue with
Okay.
that. Never
That's fine.
have. What I'm saying is, your facts are not true because we've gotten off of this subject right now because all drugs are not created equally. Okay, you have fentanyl. I think that is one of the major drugs right now, which I've never taken, don't want to take, will never, ever, ever, ever take in my life. There are so many drugs. However, when we go to the doctor and the drug prescribes a certain drug for you, we take that with no problem. And some of these drugs that are prescription drugs have caused major, major problems. So I'm not going to put all of them in the same category. We have to be intelligent about this. We really have to. Okay, because like I said again, I'm being redundant, all drugs are not created equally. Okay. Now, this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to play something because again,
Great. I got the answer again. Perfect.
you can answer, but I'm gonna go right after you. I'll give you the floor, my friend. You can answer right now, or I'm going to play uh, what I have. Okay, hold on. Let's see. And this is from a MAGA representative. Okay, you guys recognize him.
Epstein files. Your Kentucky colleague Thomas Massey obviously was the force that forced this release. He is saying that the Attorney General is violating the law and could, in fact, eventually be prosecuted for doing so. What's your reaction to this partial release?
I've supported transparency on the Epstein files from the beginning. I've voted repeatedly to release them. I think it's a good idea. I think that trust in government is at a low ebb, and that people need to trust that justice is the same, whether you're rich or poor. And people tend to believe that some rich people got off scot-free in the Epstein case, in the Epstein files. So I think it all should be released. I think it's a big mistake. I mean, look, the administration has struggled for months and months with something they initially ginned up and then sort of tried to tamp down. So any evidence or any kind of indication that there's not a full reveal on this will just plague them for months and months more. So my suggestion would be give up all the information, release it. What's going to happen to people if they don't, that will play out over time. But my suggestion to them is be transparent and release everything the law requires of you.
Doesn't look like that's exactly happening yet. But let me move on to another issue that you have been very outspoken on, and that is the use of U.S. military force abroad. You've been consistent, Democrat, Republican presidents. What is your reaction to this latest news that we hear another oil tanker seized by the U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. military supporting that mission off the coast of Venezuela?
I consider it a provocation and a prelude to war, and I hope we don't go to war with Venezuela. Look, at any point in time, there are 20, 30 governments around the world that we don't like that are either socialist or communist or have human rights violations. We could really literally go through a couple dozen, but it isn't the job of the American soldier to be the policeman of the world. So I'm not for confiscating these liners. I'm not for blowing up these boats of unarmed people that are suspected of being drug dealers. I'm not for any of this, and neither was Donald Trump. Donald Trump was against the Iraq war,
Yes,
against the regime change there. He, at the time understood that the weapons of mass destruction was a ruse and it turned out to not be true. And so now his administration is calling fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. They should be a little bit, more understanding that term has come to represent basically falsehood in intelligence. So I think it's a bad idea for them to bring that up. But all these designations are steps towards war, calling people terrorists, calling the drug runners terrorists, saying, oh, if they have a designation, well, how did they get the designation? Oh, we gave it to them. And then why is the former president, Hernandez of Honduras, who was in jail for 45 years, why is he released? So some narco terrorists are really okay, and other narco terrorists we're going to blow up. And then some of them, if they're not designated as a terrorist, we might arrest them. It's a bizarre and contradictory policy, and I sure hope we don't go to war with Venezuela.
And we did. There were at least military strikes this week against Syria. What did you make of this?
Okay, we're gonna stop it right there. That was Senator Rand Paul.
Okay. And it's Mike's turn.
Yeah, it is Mike's turn, and Rand Paul is not in agreement with what this present regime is doing. That's Senator Rand Paul, and he's been an avid Trump supporter throughout the first term and the second term, and he's not in agreement with what these guys are doing. Mike, it's your turn.
Well, let's go back to does marijuana kill?
Marijuana.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well,
What is that?
William, what you do, William, is you make a statement that's wrong. You make another statement that's wrong. You make
No. My
Hang on.
statement has not been proven to be wrong.
Okay, Mike, just give your.
I wanted you to address what we just talked about with Senator Rand Paul saying that what these strikes were doing was wrong. I asked you to comment on that. So don't try to come back and say, well, what I said was wrong, because what I said wasn't wrong. So now
He just wanted to. He didn't get a chance to make his remarks on what we talked about before that. So
I will address Rand Paul, but I'm going to go back to the statements that I believe is misinformation and that they are not correct. And I'm going back to them. I have to take notes because you make a lot of points that I would like to comment on, but you won't allow me to comment on them. So I'm going to go back and comment on them now. You said marijuana doesn't kill. Let me begin with agreeing with you that I believe marijuana has a lot of medicinal properties to it. And it helps a lot of people with everything from glaucoma to nausea when they're taking chemotherapy. There's the good and there's the bad of pot or marijuana or whatever you want, cannabis. Mm-hmm. That being said, I have personally body bagged people that have either OD'd on the strong marijuana that Ann reflected on earlier, or I body bagged them because they got really high and went out and drove, just like a drunk driver. So don't tell me marijuana doesn't kill, because it does. Again, I'm in favor of the medicinal side of marijuana because I think it has very little bad effects. It has a tremendous amount of good effects. So let me go with that. With regard to what Ann was mentioning about people that have addictive personalities, they're going to find some way to, they're going to make Pruno that they make in jail to drink. They're going to make alcohol at home. They're going to grow pot at home. They're going to do whatever it takes to feed their addiction, so to speak, their addictive personality. That being said, if you can eliminate the illegal drugs, I think that's a productive step toward reducing the drug use, because not everyone's going to build a still at home. Not everyone's going to grow pot at home. Is there going to be black market? Of course there's black marketing for sex trafficking and everything else. If you took, let me go a little sideways here. If you had a magic net or a magic magnet that could come down and take all the guns off the earth, or let's say the United States, if you could eliminate every gun in the United States, man would still find a way to kill their fellow man, because there was killing going on back in the Stone Age with cavemen killing each other with rocks or clubs or whatever. So if you can eliminate some stuff like the drugs in particular, you can at least reduce the deaths. And so I'm all in favor of whatever it takes to do that, because what's been going on for decades hasn't worked. So we need to change the strategy. With regard to Venezuela, this is recorded. So here, mark my words. We will never go to, well, in my lifetime, we're never going to go into war with Venezuela.
Oh,
that's my prediction. We're not going to go to war with Venezuela. Are we going to spank them for their drugs? Are we going to spank them for being a horrible government? Yeah, we sure are. Well, at least Trump is, the administration is. We're going to spank them until we get their attention. If that takes taking away their oil and blowing up their drug boats, well, I'm going to ask you to do something very politely, because I'm not going to give you the numbers, because I don't want you to say, oh, well, those are Mike's numbers. I want you to look up how much drug trafficking has ceased to exist, or how much it's been reduced since these drug boats have been getting blown up. I want you to check out those numbers. I don't want to give them to you. So
give them to me, because I'm not going to look it up. Because
I imagine people are very afraid. I imagine people are terrified.
What the United States is doing.
They should be afraid.
Well,
they should be afraid, because it's stopping the flow of drugs in the United States that are killing people.
If it's about drugs, why are we seizing their oil?
I already explained that to you, and I need to explain it to you again.
I don't accept your explanation.
I don't care if you accept it or not. That was my explanation.
Oh, guess what? And then why did Trump pardon Juan?
Orlando? Why are you beating dead horses, William? I've already answered your questions. I gave you my opinion. You can accept my opinion or not. That's okay.
I don't accept that answer either.
Okay, and I don't accept some of your opinions. So move on.
If you're against drugs and killing Americans, then you do not pardon a known drug trafficker that has trafficked over 400 tons of cocaine to America. Mike,
do you have personal knowledge that he did that? No, you don't.
Well, guess what? The United States does, because they convicted the clown. He was in prison
based on false information, based on lies.
It wasn't false. How you go? Why you?
According to what I read, it's based on lies.
Guess what?
He was falsely convicted.
They get the hell off of.
Oh, William froze. Oh no.
Yeah, I thought it was both of you, because you weren't saying anything either. But we
lost William.
Yeah, we lost William. But let me just
put it like short-circuited. He short-circuited the internet.
Hold on.
Tell him,
the man was in prison. The man was in prison, convicted by the United States for trafficking 400 tons of cocaine into America, and Trump pardoned him. Yet he has a war on drugs. No.
And no one has ever been falsely convicted. No one has ever been falsely convicted.
I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
You should.
What I'm saying is, the man was in. No, I don't care. The man was in prison.
You should care.
How in the hell you going to justify that? The man was in prison, and that stupid president of yours pardoned the man.
Based on lies. You forgot the based on lies part.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And
well,
sorry, Ann.
I don't hear that shit. I don't hear that crap. No, this is insulting to me. That you're going to affront for a criminal. No, you're fronting from it. Mike, are you saying that you are against the United States court system? Because you have to understand, and I want to jump in here right now. Because guess what? If he was convicted, it had to be a whole lot of legal precedents to convict this man. Not only for drugs, but also for arms trafficking. The man was in prison, and Trump let him out. And you're going to front for that and justify that? Are you serious right now?
Well, I'll just say
makes no sense at all. And go on, please.
I would just say, under the laws that I'm aware of in the United States, drug dealers aren't charged with murders. Now, I have heard at legal conferences that being some people trying to get a push for that to change, where drug dealers are not just convicted of trafficking drugs or selling drugs or whatever, but some people, because of the opioid
Morning, John.
crisis and meth, want to have people charged with murder. Um, so I say all that to say this: even if the people are transporting drugs um, via boat to America, we do not, we do not charge them with murder, meaning we don't give them the death penalty. We don't put them in prison for necessarily life without parole unless they've got convictions, a bunch of convictions against them. Like you got 12 counts of drug trafficking or whatnot, and it's 20 years per count. Okay, fine. You convicted of all that, you probably will get life in prison. But if we're talking about a person, who's, and I don't know how drugs are sold, but got a kilo of cocaine and they get caught with it, yeah, they may go to prison, but they're not going to be charged with murder. They're not going to be put in jail for life. They're not going to be on death row. That's just not what we do. So that said, bombing people for trafficking drugs seems like overkill if that is not what we are doing with our laws here in our states. Sounds like we are we are punishing people in a way that isn't commensurate with the crime that they have committed, and that, if nothing else, is wrong and should be stopped. The no due process part should be stopped. Again, what if these people are being forced to do this? What if, like Mike say, the cartels know your family, they know where your kids go to school? What if this is either you do what we tell you to do, or we take out your whole family, or we get your kid to be a drug mule and send them across the border? We don't have both sides of the story here. So that means that we should not judge these people based on circumstantial evidence, or what, even if it is true, until you get both sides of the story. That's what judges and juries are for. That's why we have a legal process, so that we will be able to understand. It's the same thing that goes on with sex traffickers. You get a lot of people who are caught in the act of having uh sex with people because they're prostitutes or whatever the case may be. But a lot of times, what you don't realize is that these people were brought in from other countries on the promise of being able to have a better life. They've been forced to do this. So you're not prosecuting the people who are the real problem. You're prosecuting people who are also being victimized. And
Yes.
that is the problem with indiscriminately bombing people. That said, folks, it's 6:58. We are out of time. We hope and pray that you have enjoyed the program. And we hope and pray that all of you have a blessed Christmas and a happy new year.
Oh,
Do not do anything that you can't keep holy, and forgive us for our unholiness on the
right.
program this evening. Uh, but we hope and pray. We hope and
And,
pray.
a question.
Yes.
What has been unholy? Look,
Let's you
we
saying
are
the
all
F
trying to
word
seek
was
our
really
own.
unholy. You saying the F
Oh,
word
yeah.
was very unholy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I did. I
So,
did.
and
I
us
did.
not speaking the
I
truth
did.
to one
Because
another
what
in
my
love.
good friend Mike was saying was not right,
Yes, and
and
then you did
it
the
slipped out.
BS word, the full word too. And not only that,
I
you
did. Yeah, I
and
did. I did. Call
and
it
you and
out.
Mike
I don't
got
care.
pretty heated. Oh, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So we owe
Well,
the
we
audience,
heck can all
you
always get
know,
heated.
we owe the audience an apology. Before we start getting
Okay.
the complaints. We listen to this program with our children. Yes, you are correct. The
Okay.
Christians were a little unholy tonight. We did not speak the truth in love to one another, which we're going to pledge to do tonight in 2026, aren't we? No matter what happens,
Oh,
we
yeah.
will
I'll do my best.
we
I'll
will
do my
behave
best.
as though
Okay.
we know and love Jesus
Okay.
Christ, and he tells us to speak the truth to one another in love. So
All
whatever
right.
you believe the truth to be, you will not speak
Okay.
to each other in a manner that does not show the love of Christ. We will speak to each other in love from now on. Isn't that right,
No,
Mike and William?
yes, ma'am. Eh, I guess
Mike,
we can get an
I
amen on
need
that.
your yes,
Okay.
ma'am, or
Yes.
amen, or whatever too.
Yeah, amen. 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 I'll do my best. I'll do my
Mama
best.
Ann, I'm listening
Yes.
to you, and I consider myself duly spanked to correct my attitude, Mama Ann. But that being said, I'm going to speak the truth as I see it, and if it offends someone, I'm sorry, but I'm speaking the truth
And I
as
didn't
I
say
see
don't
it.
say it. I didn't say don't say it, don't speak
And,
it. I said speak
and you
it
know what?
in
I'm gonna do
love.
the
That's what the
same
Bible
thing.
says.
My intent
I'm gonna
is
In
do the
not to
love.
same thing.
offend. My intent is not to offend anyone. Trust me.
Right. And I understand that. I'm
And
just
neither,
saying.
well, and neither, and you've known me for a while. And see,
Mhm.
Mike, let me just share this with you, because going back 8, 9, 10 years ago, I said I'm not going to drop the F-bomb on this
But you
radio
did.
station.
How's that working
I
out
did
did.
for
this
you?
evening. I'm a witness.
How's it
Mike,
working out for you?
Mike, yeah, you did it. It's your fault.
Yes,
Displacing
William,
blame.
you did.
Displacing blame.
Okay,
Oh
so
boy, I don't
we're
care what you call it.
if
I
we
don't care what you call it.
if we speak the truth in love, there'll be less opportunities for that to happen. And
Well,
basically, we remember that we love one another because
we
Jesus
do.
says for us to love one another
Okay.
first and foremost, and stop thinking that you're going to change each other's minds. Because let me just let somebody on the outside looking in, that's not going to happen.
It ain't going to happen.
You're not changing each other's minds. I've witnessed it. It's not happening.
Right?
So
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
right.
I'm okay with that
I
too.
just want him to be truthful with me too. That's all.
Well,
I
guess
said
what?
both
I'm going
people.
to always tell you the truth the way I see it.
Speak
Yeah,
the truth in love.
And if it doesn't coincide with yours, hey, I'm good with that. But I'm gonna always speak my truth. Okay. And until someone, you or anyone else, convince me that I'm wrong, I'm gonna stick to what I'm saying. And that's the way it's supposed to be.
So,
I'm not
Mama
gonna
Ann,
placate you or anybody else.
Mama Ann,
well, yes,
Mama
like
Ann,
I said.
watch this. If watch this, Ann. If it wasn't for DEI, we wouldn't have all the problems we have here in the United States.
Okay, so now that
see,
Mike is trying to start something at 7:03, and we are not going to have that. What we are going to do at this
no,
point,
no,
William,
no.
he is trying so hard to draw you
Hey,
in.
guess
We
what?
are going.
If it wasn't for DEI, Trump would be in the White
He
House.
got
How about
trolled.
that?
Judge Ann, he got
Yeah.
trolled.
Very hard, and he fell
If
for
you
it.
and your stupid administration, if it wasn't for DEI, they wouldn't even be there. How about that?
That was such an
Okay,
easy
so
button.
on that note, again, we hope and pray that everybody has a safe and wonderful Christmas and a blessed and prosperous New Year. And we will see you again in 2026 when everybody has had a chance to calm down and reset.
There we
Merry
go.
Christmas,
I
everybody.
like it. I
Love
like it.
y'all. Happy New Year.
Hey guys,
Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome.
William,
Hey,
I'll
no,
talk to
seriously.
you later. Talk to you later, William. But thank you,
Yeah,
man.
I love you too, Mike. Bye.
I love you, William. I really do.
Oh my friend. Oh.
To wish me greeting. Once